What is up, everybody? This is Adam. Welcome back to Fouled Out. Matt will be joining me in just a moment to update our power rankings after 13 weeks of NFL football. We will be discussing our top 5 and bottom 5 teams for the last time this season, because in 5 more weeks, it's going to be NFL playoff time, and there will not be a need to update our power rankings. So going to be fun doing that with Matt today, especially because I have a team that he does not like ranked really high, and he is not going to be happy about it. But before I bring Matt in, wanted to talk about some of the big issues that are going on in college football right now. The first one, there is a ton of drama about Lane Kiffin leaving Ole Miss for LSU, especially because it's right before the playoffs and everyone's talking about, oh, we got to change the calendar. This isn't right. They shouldn't do this, blah, blah, blah. I do not give a shit that Lane Kiffin is leaving Ole Miss. I don't care that he's leaving. I don't care when it's happening. I don't care where he's going. Just as far as like trying to punish this guy and being like, this is bullshit, he can't do this, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. Think about it this way. If you, like whatever industry you work in, let's say you're working at a job and you're making $100,000 a year and you're really happy and the company loves you. But then a bigger, more prestigious company in your field comes to you and says, hey, we're going to give you $300,000 in a company Ferrari if you come work for us. You are taking that fucking job. 12 times out of 10, you are taking that job. And that's what LSU is compared to Ole Miss. Ole Miss is, a mid-size, not a huge prestigious school like LSU is. And LSU's coming to him and saying, not only are we going to pay you more, we're going to give you every single resource you could possibly need to win a championship. And with that comes a lot of pressure on Lane to perform and to prove that he's a championship coach. But just personally, I don't blame him for taking the LSU job. And this is the nature of the beast, is that coaches can leave schools whenever they want. Kids can now leave schools whenever they want. It doesn't matter. It's the wild, wild west. There's no reason that he shouldn't be able to take this job. It's not his fault. So I miss me with the drama about Lane Kiffin. I think he's making the right move. Honestly, like if I was picking, I would go coach at LSU as well. They're like, hey, the number one player in next year's recruiting class plays for a high school that's literally on LSU's campus. You have advantages at LSU you cannot get almost anywhere else in the country. And I would take full advantage of that. I'd be driving that company Ferrari all up and down the highway every weekend, as Lane Kiffin should be. So miss me with that. Second, the penultimate college football playoff rankings came out last night. We're recording this on Wednesday, December 3rd. They came out on the 2nd. Notre Dame being ranked above Miami, Florida is an absolute travesty. And it pisses me off to no end. Notre Dame and Miami played each other this season. Granted, it was week 1 and it's been a long time since then, but they have a head-to-head matchup that Miami won. And the College Football Playoff Committee is saying that that is not important, and what is important is how we feel about these teams right now. So why play the fucking game if you're Miami or anybody else? Why am I scheduling a game against Notre Dame, who's, a good football program, to start my season? That it just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, the College Football Playoff Committee's job, I guess, is to pick, the 7 best teams and the 5 automatic qualifiers, or however you want to look at it. They're just picking the teams they feel like are best. So if you just feel like Notre Dame is better than Miami at this point in the season, just come out and say that. But also, you need to explain to me why you think Notre Dame is better than Miami, because I look at Notre Dame's schedule, I look at the teams they play, the teams they schedule, and who they've beat, and I don't see any evidence that points to them being better than Miami. So when I see 2 teams that I feel like are pretty even at this point in the season, I'm going to look at that head-to-head matchup they played against each other and say, hey, Miami took that. We should give them the benefit of the doubt, like give them the nod. And it keeps going back to that old stupid argument that we had in the BCS and then we had in the 4-team playoff and we have it now, is that quality losses become more important than quality wins, where Miami beat Notre Dame. Straight up, they beat them in a head-to-head game. So Notre Dame has 1 loss to Miami and 1 loss to someone else, while Miami's losses are like Louisville and whoever else. So Notre Dame, it's like, oh, well, one of their losses is to Miami, so we're not going to punish them for that. Miami's losses are to nobody good. Miami fucking beat them. They should be in over them. And nobody can explain to me why Notre Dame is a better football program or better football team than Miami at this point in the season. So it's a fucking travesty. If I was a college football team, I would not be scheduling big games. I'd be like, oh, okay, so all I have to do is go 12-0, 11-1, and I'm in as a big team. Great. I'm not playing anybody hard that I don't have to out of conference. That's just stupid at this point. Look at Texas. If they hadn't scheduled Ohio State, they would probably be in the college football playoff. So why am I scheduling those games? And this is just more evidence of like the college football playoff committee picks the teams they want, and then they back into their reasoning. There is no criteria. So I talked about last week, these ratings or these rankings were going to be really important because it was going to tell us who is going to get the at-large bids. So like we know Notre Dame is going. They're going over Miami. That's not flipping. Neither of those teams is playing this week. Alabama is ranked number 9. And the college football playoff committee set the precedent last year with SMU losing to Clemson in the ACC championship that if you play conference championship week and you lose, you can still go to the college football playoff because they're not going to punish you for playing an extra game that nobody else played. So we know Alabama is in. You know, I don't think there's a world where Alabama loses and they drop below Miami and it's like, oh, cool, Miami went, no harm, no foul. But that probably means we're going to have a 3-loss Alabama team in the college football playoff and maybe as like the 10 seed instead of the 9 seed. They'll probably move one spot, even if Georgia kicks their asses, which is not a guarantee because Alabama kind of owns them. So we'll see how that goes. But it just got real messy this week with Notre Dame being ranked above Miami, and then they moved Texas all the way up above Vanderbilt. There's no criteria. It doesn't make any sense. They're just like, hey, these are the programs we want in there, and we'll just justify it however we want. And every single year, the head of the committee just looks like a total twat. You can tell I've been watching Ted Lasso. Last one, Penn State is getting completely obliterated right now. So there is a agent in college football named Jimmy Sexton, who is the agent for basically every single good coach in the world. He's the agent for like 90% of the SEC coaches now. And he is James Franklin's agent, the coach that Penn State fired earlier this year. And apparently he is pissed about how Penn State handled firing James Franklin. So he is completely boxing them out of getting a new coach. And you can see that basically every coach that they've gone after so far is either staying where they're at, taking a job somewhere else, or getting extended where they're at. Including, the guy's name is escaping me, but the coach for James Madison is now going to UCLA instead of Penn State. UCLA is a shitty football program, way worse than Penn State. So this is a massive problem for Penn State. We've now reached early signing day, and Penn State has 0 commitments, which is astonishing because the least commitments that a Power 4 school has ever had on early national signing day is like 10, and Penn State's got 0. So Jimmy Sexton is completely fucking this program right now. They have no coach and they have no players coming in. And my guess is that any player worth their salt who was going to come back next year is going to be hitting that transfer portal pretty hard coming up soon. So they're basically getting the death penalty from Jimmy Sexton, and it's going to set this program back years. And they're now at the point where the boosters are pressuring the AD to just promote a guy who's already on the staff or was on James Franklin's staff, because if you don't get a coach soon, you are going to be completely fucked in recruiting and also trying to retain the players that you do have. And Penn State, man, is going to go from being in the Final Four last year to possibly just being like one of the dregs of the Big Ten for a while. And Matt and I were talking about this, and he's like, yeah, they'll bounce back eventually, but man, is it going to take some time? I know it's just one recruiting class, but like getting nobody right now in early national signing, and then you got to put your entire class together after this, while a ton of really good guys are signing elsewhere. And then you're also working the transfer portal right now. You're trying to retain your guys and get new guys in. Like this is going to be an unmitigated disaster for Penn State, and just makes me think that agents have too much power in college football right now for an agent to be pissed at them and basically fuck their entire program because he didn't like the way that they fired one of his clients is kind of ridiculous in my opinion. But we're going to talk about the Milwaukee Bucks a little bit later in the podcast when we get to NBA take of the week, and why they're doing what they're doing with a potential Giannis trade. And like, this is why you see teams play nice with agents, is because like when they hold the cards, they are absolutely vindictive and will take it out on you, which is what's going on with Penn State right now. And it's kind of a shame because it's a program that's been getting built up a lot after the whole Joe Paterno issue. And they are now, they're not like one of the perennial powers, but they were up there. They were going to be a perennial college football playoff team, at least if they kept going on the same trajectory. And now they're like, this is going to get really, really bad for Penn State. Mark my words. Last thing, the Western Michigan Broncos play Miami, Ohio in the MAC championship Saturday at noon. Just want to say go Western. Man, we've talked a lot about a potential MAC championship and what that would mean for me as a Western Michigan fan on this podcast the last couple of weeks. So hope you guys are pulling for Western. I will be watching the game on Saturday and cheering for my boys, especially Brock Lowry, who I've just come to really appreciate and love in so many ways as the Western Michigan quarterback. So all that said, just a reminder, you can reach out to us, fouledoutsports@gmail.com. You want to talk about college football, hockey, baseball, like whatever you want to talk about, hit me up. I will email you back. But for now, let's grab Matt. Let's talk NFL football. Let's go. All right, Matt is here. Matt.
Basketball time.
NBA pod. Let's go.
Let's go.
The way that you feel about football right now is the way that I feel about talking about basketball. Because, good Lord, is my basketball
and
team
the way
horrible.
that you feel about football right now is the way that I feel about basketball right now. So.
Yeah. The only thing that could really make my basketball season better is if the Detroit Pistons do, in fact, take Zach LaVine off of our hands. Because, holy God, is Zach LaVine bad.
No.
You'll get Keon Ellis and Malik Monk, and you'll like it. Give him a good home for me, please.
I will take Keon Ellis happily.
Yeah. But I do appreciate you being here today after what was a particularly rough week for your fan base. I'm sorry, buddy.
It was just a bad week to be a fan of any sports team in Michigan. Like, eventually the Pistons got some wins later, but yeah, that was a pretty rough 72-hour period.
I was kind of waiting for a Tariq Skubal trade to be announced. It's like, things can't possibly get any worse for Detroit or Michigan sports. And I was like, oh, wait, yes, it can. Here comes the Tariq Skubal trade.
It just kept getting worse. It really did.
Yeah. I was talking to my buddy about it because it's like there's a 72-hour period where it's like, hey, we recorded the pod last week before Thanksgiving. And it's like, hey, Frank Ragnow is coming back. This is awesome. We got a big game against the Packers tomorrow. The Bears are probably going to lose to the Eagles on Friday. It's going to be a good weekend. And then Ragnow's hamstring is torn. The Lions lose to the Packers on Thanksgiving, which totally ruined Thanksgiving in Metro Detroit. And then just when you think things can't get worse, the Bears absolutely dominate the Philadelphia Eagles. And it's oh, yeah, okay.
To be clear, what has been reported about Frank Ragnow's injury is that, it's a grade 3 strain, which is a full rupture. Something that you cannot miss. So that makes it seem pretty clear that this happened in between, the announcement that he was coming back and the announcement that he failed his physical.
He's just like me when I start feeling like I'm out of shape, where I'm like, I'm going to get off the couch and go work out. And then I instantly hurt myself. And I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
But I'm proud of you for being here because that was a tough week. And we are going to talk about our updated power rankings, the top 5 teams and the bottom 5 teams in the NFL right now after 13 weeks of football. Your team has been in both of our top 5s all season. So be interested to see what happens here. Mm-hmm. Why don't you lead us off with your top 5 and then I'll let you know where I'm different.
At 5, I have the Buffalo Bills. Um, this is less a statement on how good I feel about the Buffalo Bills and more a statement on how many teams I feel like are actually really good in the NFL right now. So after I got outside my top four, I'm kind of looking at that and I'm like, hey, this team has a Josh Allen and a James Cook. I feel better about that than like pretty much every other team that was really going to be considered there. That every other team there is just as flawed, but those two guys, they're just it. They are borderline pinnacle of their positions.
Fair. I refuse to put the Buffalo Bills in my top 5, but your reasoning's fair.
I didn't want to, but God, did I feel like there were no options left once I got past 4.
Yeah.
4, I have the Denver Broncos. Don't feel good about the quarterback position. Don't feel great about the offense in general. However, that defense is absolutely nasty. And even with Dobbins out, RJ Harvey has, while not necessarily putting up a ton of yards, like he's been effective. And I think we've seen that Sean Payton can still very much dial up a play when he needs to. I mean, you have a defense that's that good and a play caller with weapons that can potentially get a play when they need it most. That's just a really hard team to beat. And I mean, that's why their record is what it is. Number 3, your New England Patriots.
Oh, yeah.
Vrabel's got them statistically as the number 1 rush defense in the NFL. I think there might be a valid discussion about the opponents with which that was gained, but you don't get to choose who you play. And I mean, you've done more than enough talking about Drake May for the both of us on this podcast.
No, I haven't. I need you to talk about Drake May. Go ahead. This is why we're here.
He is in the alien class of quarterbacks. Sure, like they still have to go toe to toe with some of the best teams in order to like maybe prove themselves. But if you're looking around the NFL right now as to like how teams are playing, I feel like if you are making a case for more than 2 other teams to be playing better than the Patriots are right now, you are making flawed arguments that can be poked through pretty easily. Number 2, the Seattle Sea Chickens. Much like Denver, their defense is an absolute nightmare. Unlike Denver, their offense generally puts up a lot of points. There's a reason why they're number 2 and not number 1, and that reason is Sam Darnold. But, I mean, no one has been able to cover Jackson Smith and Jigba all season long. They seem to be... I mean, they've kind of had a running game going all season long, but I feel like it has become a little bit more consistent of late. I feel like the run game has kind of become a more well-oiled machine, which is ironic as Sam has kind of started to struggle more. But like that offense is going to go as the run game goes, regardless of what Sam does. Number 1, don't really care about the Panthers. It's still the Rams. Best defensive line in the NFL. If not, it's probably head-to-head with Cleveland's. One of 2 valid MVP candidates between Stafford and Drake May. Puka Nakua, need I say more? Devontae Adams, Renaissance. The running game continues to be efficient. Like even even when Kyron Williams was out, Blake Corum was able to step up and actually made some really nice plays. Honestly, coming into the season, there were a lot of people that had a lot of doubts that he could, because he hadn't really showed that yet in the NFL. So, like weirdly, I mean, I had mentioned before that I felt like their defensive backs were like punching above their weight class, but like they've quietly, a lot of those guys like legitimately made themselves good. Uh, and like I think that is kind of what has taken this team to the next level for me, is like that thing that everyone said, like, okay, but like how far are they going to go with that secondary? Well, now it's not like this huge weakness. It's, you probably still deal with the secondary than their defensive front, but it's still not something, it's not something that you're like planning on being able to just shred them with, though.
Yep.
So
Yep. So we have some agreements, some discrepancies in the top five. My top five teams. Number 5, I have the Houston Texans. I feel like the Houston Texans defense is the best unit in the NFL right now. Back-to-back games, we watched them make Josh Allen look like absolute shit. And then last week they held Jonathan Taylor to 85 yards on 21 carries.
Mm-hmm.
So they just dominated 2 of the best players in the NFL back-to-back weeks. I kind of felt the same as you looking at that 5 spot where I was like, I don't really know who I'm going to put here. And I just watched the Texans beat 2 other teams that I was considering for that spot in the Bills and the Colts. Yeah. So number 4, you're not going to like this. I have the Green Bay Packers. They now have beaten Detroit twice this season. I don't really trust the Bears yet, as far as like putting them in my top 5. I could completely be off base. The Bears and Packers play this week, and if the Bears win, then I'm going to be eating my words. But my thing with the Packers is that like Micah Parsons is really starting to make an impact right now. So they've won 3 games in a row, and in those 3 games, he has 6 sacks. And they're running for, they ran for 125 on Detroit, 146 on Minnesota. The one thing I like really don't understand with the Packers right now, they're 13th in passing yards per game, but they're number 1 in pass EPA somehow, because like we saw against the Lions is that like Jordan Love is not throwing for a lot of yards, but he's throwing for a lot of touchdowns. And it's just a weird combination. Number 3, I have the Seattle Seahawks. So I want to put them higher, but you said it already. I don't trust Sam Darnold, right? Like Sam Darnold in a big game. We just saw it against the Rams, 29 of 44 for 279 and 4 interceptions, but they still only lost that game by 2. So I'm like, God, if Sam Darnold doesn't hold this team back, they are really good, but I don't think I can trust Sam Darnold to win 4 straight playoff games. I just can't.
Yeah.
Number 2, my team, the Patriots of New England. When are we all just going to admit the Patriots are good? Like they're 11-2 now. And I know the schedule hasn't been great, but they are number 1 in the AFC in point differential. So they're doing what you would expect a good team to do. And they're just beating the shit out of these bad teams right now. They played a close game at Cincinnati a couple weeks ago, but then Cincinnati came back and like, I know they just got Joe Burrow back, but then they go and absolutely dominate the Ravens. And Lamar Jackson kind of like looked like shit against Cincy. So I'm like, maybe Cincy's a little bit better than we think, but Drake May, now the MVP favorite again at minus 135, Stafford at plus 125 after that Panthers game. I've looked for reasons in every ranking we've done this season to not include the Patriots in the top 5 because I don't want to get my hopes up and admit that they are good, but honestly, I look at the rest of the AFC right now, and I'm like, we're at least just as good as any of these other AFC teams. Like the Broncos still have Bo Nix. Buffalo has been very up and down this season, but with a lot of down. The Steelers and Ravens, garbage. The Kansas City Chiefs, garbage. The Chargers, the whole offensive line is hurt. Like I think the AFC kind of sucks, but also like we're good, maybe. So I don't know, man. Like we have a thing that is really good, and that thing is Drake May and Mike Vrabel, and I'll put that up against any other team in the NFL. And then my number one team, I agree with you. I still have the LA Rams. I think the Panthers game was super weird, flying across the country to play a 1 p.m. game. Stafford had like at least his first interception. The tipped pass was just like super wonky. The one that was tipped into the end zone. He has the pick 6 in that game and loses a fumble. I don't know, man. Like this probably would have sounded better to people last week before they lost to the Panthers, but like I'm not going to take that. Well, like one game.
Yeah, it was like the Rams' no good, very bad day.
Yeah, like one game does not a bad team make. I still look at this team and I'm like, listen, they're the most complete team in football right now. I said the Houston Texans defense is probably the best unit in the NFL, but I would put the Rams offense up there with them with all the weapons you mentioned. They are number 1 in net EPA per play, number 2 in DVOA, number 1 on PFF. They're still really good. I know people want to dunk on them after losing to the Panthers as a 10.5 point favorite, but shit happens. I also kind of use that as like a justification for having the Patriots so high, though, is like, yeah, we played a lot of bad teams, but we keep beating them. And I can point to 20 other instances in the NFL this season where good teams played bad teams and did not beat them.
Well, it is like that consistency of executing what you are supposed to be executing. Like the lack of that for the Lions is precisely why that game didn't move the needle for me on Green Bay at all. Because if you go back and look at that tape, there's plays all over that tape where the tight ends just didn't block the guy that they were supposed to block. And like all they had to do was literally get in the way. And Gibbs is like going to have a 10-yard run. And instead it's 0 because a linebacker gets free run. It's so like a team that can consistently like do their job, like it doesn't sound impressive, but like that is absolutely how you win games in the NFL.
Well, this is just kind of the point we're at in the NFL right now too, where like if you have like one good thing that works for you, you're like one of the best teams in the NFL. Like one good thing that works for you consistently. Yeah. If you have 2 good things that work for you, you're in the top 3 of this list, right? Because like we both agree on Seattle. Seattle has a good defense and JSN. The Patriots have Drake May and Mike Vrabel. The Rams, I would say, are the best team in the NFL because they have multiple good things that work for them. Like they have Stafford in the pass game. They have a run game. They have Sean McVay. They have a very good defensive line. Like, and I know they just lost, so it's like a weird time to have this conversation, but like they have the most good things. And you just think about how so many teams in this league are kind of mid right now because they don't have like, you know, it's like the Chiefs have like Patrick Mahomes sometimes. He's been up and down this season. And that's kind of like all they have is like Patrick Mahomes and Rashee Rice. You know, the Bills, like James Cook's been really good. Josh Allen is fantastic, but like Josh Allen has not been fantastic in every single game this season. So like, you know, Drake May is leading the league in passing right now, and he's the MVP favorite, and he's never had a 300-yard passing game. but it's the consistency, because every single week he throws for between 250 and 290 and 2 touchdowns every single week. And it's like, you know what? Like, consistency and showing up and executing, that's enough to be the best team in the NFL right now.
That's how the Lions built that juggernaut of an offense last year. Guys consistently executing. That's how you win 15 games.
Well, and like a shitload of talent, though, too.
Right, but like...
super talented dudes executing at a high level.
But we have seen so many offenses that look stacked that then, like, end up being inconsistent over the course of a season. Like, you know, like, over the course of the year, they probably have pretty good numbers, but like, we have seen those teams still be inconsistent as an offense because the execution isn't there. Because turns out the other side of the ball still gets paid, and their job is to try and stop you. And if you aren't executing and they're trying to stop you, they're going to stop you.
Yeah, I think we really are in a defensive cycle right now where the defense is really catching up to the offense. And like, we're in this weird spot where you don't really see that like upper crust of NFL teams right now. Where like last year it was like, oh man, you got the Lions, the Chiefs, the Eagles, the Ravens, the Bills, like all these teams are so good. And you and I were complaining on Sunday about fantasy football, about having like Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, because it is, I mean, Josh Allen's been good. I'll give him that, but definitely not as good as last year. And Lamar Jackson has just been abysmal for Lamar Jackson standards.
He was fine until he got hurt.
Yeah.
And then, well, the return hasn't been great.
Yeah, I just think like we're so used to seeing these teams with these elite quarterbacks dominate the NFL, at least during the regular season, and they're just not doing it this season. Like the Bills, the Ravens, the Chiefs, guys who the vast majority of us would say are the 3 best quarterbacks in the NFL, are struggling in large part because like defenses have kind of figured them out a little bit. Defenses have adjusted. Like there's a lot of changes going on. So it's weird to do a top 5 list like this and not say Baltimore. And for me to not say the Bills, and for neither of us to say the Chiefs. I have the Chiefs, like, you know, I know you do the top 5. I do the entire league. I had the Chiefs 14th right now. And I'm like, God, 14 seems too low.
And honestly, that could be generous, you know?
Well, that's the thing is, I'm like, the 14 seems too low because you have Patrick Mahomes, but then I'm like, who ahead of them? Like, I have Jacksonville ahead of them. Jacksonville beat them. The Bills, the Bears, the Colts, I have the Cowboys ahead of them right now, the way the Cowboys are playing. The way I do my rankings is like, I do all this stuff with like DVOA and EPA per play. And then I just go through and I'm like, okay, 32 versus 31. Who do I think would win that football game? And I just rank it like Chiefs and Jags play right now. I already watched that game. The Jags won it. I don't know how I could put the Chiefs at, like, I just watched the Cowboys beat them on Thanksgiving. I don't know how I could put the 6-6 Chiefs higher than that right now.
Yeah.
Speaking of Team 32, the bottom 5 teams in the NFL. So my bottom 4 were unchanged from my last list. So number 4, I had the Giants, 3 the Saints, 2 the Raiders, and 1 the Titans as the worst team in the NFL.
Yep. We're in lockstep.
I gave serious consideration to putting the Raiders as the worst team in the NFL after watching them the last couple of weeks. But the Raiders also beat the Titans this year. So I'm like, yeah, it's weird. It's weird. And even weirder, the Raiders only other win is against my fucking team in week 1, which is like the weirdest results of the year. So good. We're in lockstep on the bottom 4. I wanted to talk about team number 5. Team 5 right now, I have the Minnesota Vikings.
That was the other team I considered here.
Okay. So I'll make the case for the Vikings real quick, and then you make the case for the team you have. I did an entire segment last week about how JJ McCarthy is like the worst quarterback we've ever seen as a starter through 6 games, and like his EPA per play is so bad and blah, blah, blah. So he missed this game against the Seahawks with a concussion, and the Minnesota Vikings started Max Brosmer. And Max Brosmer instantly came in and was the worst quarterback of all time. I am not exaggerating. He had a QBR on Sunday of 5.6. JJ McCarthy's QBR for the season is 24. So it gives you an idea. Max Brosmer's total EPA through 44 snaps this season is negative 35 points. He has negative 35 points, expected points added on 44 snaps.
So much.
Yeah. You almost lose 1 point per snap that man plays. I mean, just truly impressive for ineptitude. So there was an article by a Vikings blog that went and looked at the worst graded PFF games of all time. And the infamous Nathan Peterman 5 interceptions in the first half game was graded higher than Max Brosmer's game on Sunday. The game where Kendall Hinton, the wide receiver for the Broncos, had to play as an emergency quarterback and went 1 for 9 for 13 yards and 2 interceptions was graded better on PFF than what Max Brosmer did on Sunday. So I think the Vikings have way more talent than a lot of other teams that I thought about at this position. But good God, if Max Brosmer is going to start more games for the Vikings, they may move down this list. Just when you thought it couldn't get worse, this is literally like one of like Hall of Fame, Mount Rushmore worst quarterback games we have ever witnessed out of Max Brosmer on Sunday.
So
KOC
is now a good
quarterback
time
whisperer
to have a KOC discussion.
Yeah.
These are his hand-picked quarterbacks.
Yeah. These are quarterbacks that
so
he
if we want to
drafted,
give him
like,
credit for the guys that like have come in and done better than expected with him. When you get to choose the rookies that you want and then they suck, but all the guys that did well with you are veterans, I think that should be speaking a lot louder than anyone is really talking about. Because all the guys that have done well with him have been veterans.
You had the salient point on KOC a couple weeks ago too, where like if you're a good quarterbacks coach, can we just like not have literally the worst starts of all time going on for the Minnesota Vikings? Like we went over last week how bad JJ is. I'm not going to keep beating him up. To go from that to someone who is somehow infinitely worse is just an impressive feat of ineptitude by the Minnesota Vikings. So that's why they're here for me. Who did you have number 5?
Washington fighting Georges. Please tell me, what is the redeeming quality of this team right now?
About
they don't
Washington?
Pass the ball well. They don't run the ball well. They don't play good defense.
The only thing I can say about Washington is that they were basically a 2-point conversion away from beating Denver in Denver on Sunday Night Football this week.
Yeah, but that's like every Denver game.
How did you feel about the inverted Bo Nix game where he was good for the first 3 quarters and then absolute dog shit at the end instead of the opposite?
That felt very much the way I do when I'm talking about the Panthers. Just like, who are you? Who are you? Like, actually, that's a really good point. In the Rams' favor, is like, there's nothing you can do when the Panthers are just like, all right, now it's time for us to make everyone question everything they knew about us. Like, it just happened.
The Panthers are simultaneously the best team in the NFL and absolute fucking dog shit. I truly, truly don't understand the Panthers. It's like, hey, we're a bad road team and a good home team. And then they beat the Falcons on the road and lose to the Saints at home and totally fuck us on the suicide pool. And they're like, well, we can't beat good teams. And they get blown out by San Francisco. And then they beat the shit out of the Rams. And I'm like, hey, no
Yeah.
idea what's going on here.
The lesson here with the Panthers is to learn nothing. Never learn anything.
Yeah. One team I wanted to give props to in this segment real quick, because I shat on them a lot of the season, rightfully so. But the Jets have been playing better football lately. And I will give kudos to Aaron Glenn for getting it moving in a better direction, especially after trading away your two best players, basically, to come out and like fight the way that they fight. You know, they beat Atlanta on Sunday. I'm not sure if that's something to be proud of or not, but they did it. And it's the Jets, so we're gonna celebrate. But they've been playing better football for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's kind of just who Aaron Glenn is, right? Like, much like Dan, he is very, very genuine when he speaks, and he really cares about his guys. It's a big part of the culture that we built here, and you are seeing the seeds being planted there. Whether or not that is going to be destroyed by the, I presume, toxic soil in New Jersey, because that does bother me. Like, I don't feel like you should be able to call yourself a team of one city and like be in a different state.
The key for the Jets is still going to be that they have a shitload of picks in the next couple of drafts. And if they can execute those well, I'm not excited about it. I'll tell you that. I don't like the New York teams. Was very happy to see my team put their foot through the Giants' skull on Monday Night Football. That was cathartic for me. But all right, Bolds and Scolds. Week 13 of the NFL season. Matt, it is your week to go first with your bold.
My bold this week is Al Golden, the defensive coordinator for Cincinnati Bengals. Look, I get that Lamar has been pretty rough since he's come back, but this Cincinnati defense, the vast majority of the year, has been one that has basically been wet tissue paper. Like, you and I might have been able to get 3 points. Like, they were pretty much that bad all year long. And for them to come out and put up a defensive performance like they did without Trey Hendrickson, like that is also I think that made it significantly more impressive. Like, that all starts with the leadership of that unit. He clearly put together a good game plan. He got the guys in positions that they were comfortable with and had them confident that they could execute that, because they were all over Lamar kind of all game long. Like, Lamar is like the one guy where like saying this shouldn't really matter, but like I don't really know how much of a chance he really had with how all over him that defense really was all game. But it is Lamar. Like, Lamar should be able to make big plays out of that still. But like, the defense did their job there from Cincinnati's standpoint, and that really has not been the case all year long. So Do I expect to see that a ton the rest of the year? Probably not, but like they deserve their kudos the one time they do it. So
I will say that they were pretty good against my team 2 weeks ago too. Like I actually came away kind of impressed and left that game worried. I was like, do we suck? And then they beat the shit out of the Ravens this week. And I was like, oh, okay. Maybe,
yeah,
I was like, maybe we're fine. Like maybe we're good. Maybe Cincinnati's actually better than people expect. Super interesting to keep an eye on them this weekend. They go up against the Buffalo Bills, especially now that Joe Burrow's back. Like that is suddenly a fascinating game. I had Cincinnati at 18 in my power rankings. Like I moved them up pretty far. The combination of that defense being better and Joe Burrow being back is like, I need to see more, but I'm like, okay, I think you could beat a lot of teams below you.
I mean, they also didn't have T. Higgins in that game either. So
yep. My bold for week 13, and I apologize. I'm really not trying to pile on Matt here. I just was trying to think of one, and this person deserves credit. Bears head coach Ben Johnson. So the Bears are now 9-3 and in first place in the NFC after destroying Philly on Friday, 24-15. Ben Johnson has been like the main reason that the Bears have a good record this year. Caleb Williams is only completing 58% of his passes on the season. So like the offense being number 6 in yards per game is predominantly because of their running game, which all of a sudden has just been completely fucking nasty. Like two-headed monster with DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monogany. Yeah, we'll figure it out. Monangai. Yeah. That one.
Manamana.
But number 2 in the NFL in rushing yards at 154 per game, 173 over their last 3, and 281 in Philly on Friday, with both backs going for over 125 yards and a touchdown. Ben has always been an incredible run game coordinator. He was really good at it in Detroit as well. But the thing that impressed me most was the prevailing thought on Ben Johnson was like, oh, he's like a whiz kid offensive genius, but he's not really going to be able to command a locker room the way that Dan Campbell did. And I'm not saying he's Dan Campbell. I'm just saying go back and watch that video from Friday's win of him with his shirt off in the locker room and tell me that that team doesn't fucking love that guy and that they are not bought the fuck in to what he is doing there. I love seeing that. I will say,
like, they better finish the job. They better finish the job in the regular season, or that is going to be memed out of existence.
Yeah. This week was a good week to bold him before they play the Packers.
Obviously, like, are in position where they can do it. It would also be the most Bears thing in the world to not. So, but no, I never doubted Ben's ability to command a room. If you ever watched Ben's media time in Detroit, like, he was always very composed. He was very prepared, very quick-witted. He's very, very detail-oriented guy. Like, I never doubted that. The thing that concerned me the most was like, okay, well, when things get tough, like, there had definitely been reports that he would lose his cool more than the other coaches in Detroit. And that was the thing that I was like, I don't know that's going to fly as well when you're the head coach. And to his credit, like, I'm going to guess that is something that he's probably grown in his capacity of, like, obviously having been around Dan as long as he did, he probably recognizes, like, when I'm in that chair, I have to be a certain way. Credit to him. I don't think anyone could have asked for a better first year as a head coach than this from him. Certainly didn't see them sitting here heading into week 14.
Yeah. Their remaining schedule, they are at Packers, home Browns versus the Packers. They're home for Packers, at San Francisco, home for the Lions. So it could end not well for them here, but good week to bold him. Who is your scold for week 13?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, honestly, every single one of those games could be pretty tough, even Cleveland, because Myles Garrett still exists.
Yeah.
So
fucking beast, man, gonna break the sack record this year. But who is your scold for week 13?
Strong possibility. I don't think you're ready for this one. The Pro Football Hall of Fame. How the fuck are you going to announce that a man has died without vetting any sources? In case you didn't know, Pro Football Hall of Fame announced that former Lions legend Lem Barney, Hall of Famer, had passed away. I don't think it took more than like a couple of hours before like writers from the Detroit Free Press had reached out to family members of Lem Barney to verify this and like prove that that was in fact not true and that Lem Barney was very much well and alive. So just an absolutely insane thing, but like wildly not okay to release something like that.
Yeah, I didn't actually even see that. So that's a good scold to bring awareness.
Yeah.
It's like the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I was like, did they like not let someone in?
That was in that same 72-hour period.
What a wild 72 hours for Michigan sports. My scold week 13, a little easier. Mine is Phillip Gaines, the cornerback for the Kansas City Chiefs. So on Thanksgiving versus Dallas, Gaines was targeted 8 times. And those 8 targets resulted in 6 completions for 209 yards and 2 touchdowns. It was the 5th most yards a single corner has allowed into their coverage since 2007. And just like watching George Pickens repeatedly get inside of Phillip Gaines' inside leverage was just a sight to behold. It was like, hey, George Pickens is going to run a slant. Let's play inside leverage. And then all of a sudden, George Pickens was inside the inside leverage. It like truly an impressively horrible game for a corner. And just one of the worst that we've seen since 2007. So just special shout out to him for blowing that game for his team pretty much single-handedly.
You can't do that. And quite frankly, I don't know how as a coaching staff you allow it to get to that point before you like throw someone else out there, like see if anyone else can do anything. Because you're right, like that really was like the game, the entire game plan for Dallas. And like, if it's going to work that well, why not?
Truly like impressive ineptitude shown on Thanksgiving week between Brosmer and the Raiders and Phillip Gaines and just like a week of shit. But for now, that is it for us. As always, Fouled Out can be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, Overcast, anywhere you get your podcast. You can hit us up on Gmail, fouledoutsports@gmail.com. You can watch the podcast on YouTube. Just search for Fouled Out Sports. And all of our shorts are on YouTube and all that fun stuff. So go check us out there. Really appreciate you guys supporting us, whether you're watching or listening or emailing or whatever you're doing. Appreciate your support. Last thing before we say bye, the NBA take of the week. Matt, what do you got for us?
So I decided to not bring a take this week, and I'm going to bring you a question. Currently, who is the best American basketball player in the NBA?
So it's tough because our consensus top 4 is all European, or they're all foreign. Shea's from Canada. Giannis is from Greece. Jokic and Luka obviously not from here.
Yep.
I still probably have to go Steph. I know he's getting older, but
that's fair.
I just the shooting, the gravity that he pulls still, I forget. I'd have to pull up our NBA top 30, but I think I still had Steph 5th last year. Yeah.
I think you
might have. I am consistent. I had Steph Curry as the 5th best player.
Tatum?
Yeah, I had Steph Curry as the 5th best player.
Yeah.
In my personal voting. So I'm gonna stick with that still, but it's a tough question.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I thought of that when saw like a graphic with, I think it was like ESPN's like MVP ladder, and the top 4 were, our consensus top 4, right? And then 5th was Kate, which I think is correct. But I was like, man, like there really is like a shelf before you even get to the American players.
Yeah, I'm trying to look this up real quick, but the last however many MVPs, it's like 7 in a row, 8 in a row, are not American. So last year it was Shea.
Yeah.
Jokic, Embiid, Jokic, Giannis. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the last 7 MVPs have been foreign players. Before that, it was Harden, Westbrook, Curry, Durant, James, Derrick Rose, James, Kobe Bryant, Dirk Nowitzki in 2007. So a German won in 2007, and then, I mean, I consider Kobe an American. I know he's was born in Italy, but I'll call him American. So it was a German in 2007, then Americans all the way until 2019. We haven't had an MVP since James Harden won it in 2018, an American MVP.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy. So I had this whole take prepared about how excited I was that, we have this awesome draft coming up where we've talked about this on the pod a little bit. The top 3 players in this draft, all 3 of them would be the number 1 overall pick in the vast majority of drafts, between Cameron Boozer, AJ DeBansta, and Darren Peterson. And then there's other guys in the top 7 who would all be top 3 picks in any other draft. So it's like an absolutely loaded draft. And I was like, oh, what's super cool is that all of these guys are playing for big programs in the NCAA where they're all going to be in the NCAA tournament. And I went back year by year, and I was like, last year we had Cooper Flagg, but the other 2 guys went to Rutgers, and Rutgers didn't make the tournament. And then the year before that was all foreign players, and the year before that was G League and Wemby. And we've had a lot of guys recently who have not played in the NCAA tournament. But I'm going to scrap that take and give you another one that I did not prepare. The Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis Antetokounmpo are splitting ways. There's been a lot of stories today saying that it's kind of been the final straw. They've lost 7 or 8 games in a row, and Giannis has gone to the Bucks front office, and they're talking about where he wants to go, and they're going to facilitate something for him. There was a report from Brian Windhorst today that said that the Milwaukee Bucks will not open up bidding for Giannis Antetokounmpo to the NBA, and that they are working with Giannis to find his preferred destination, and that they will trade him to his preferred destination. They will do their best to work out a deal with the team that Giannis says he wants to go to. I think that is a fireable offense to ever even have that plan as the general manager of the Milwaukee Bucks. And in the opening to this podcast, I talked about Penn State and about how the way they fired James Franklin has basically fucked them because they pissed off the agent. And that in sports, like a lot of times you do the favors for the agent because you don't want agents to be pissed at you. But here's my thing about the Milwaukee Bucks. Nobody's fucking signing with the Milwaukee Bucks. Right? And like I can say this as a Sacramento Kings fan. And my brother-in-law is a huge Bucks fan, and he came on the podcast once, and we were talking about, like, right after the Bucks won the championship, he came on and talked about it. And one thing we talked about in that pod is that the biggest free agent signing in the history of the Milwaukee Bucks is Greg Monroe. And that he was like super excited when Greg Monroe decided to come to Milwaukee Bucks because that was like the biggest free agent signing ever. And I, as a Sacramento Kings fan who just got DeMar DeRozan 2 years ago, only to watch him be complete and utter total fucking garbage for my franchise, but still look at that and say, it's the biggest free agent signing we've had since Vlade Divac in the early 2000s. So pretty good. I don't give a fuck about pissing off Giannis Antetokounmpo or his agent if I'm the Milwaukee Bucks. I'm sorry. You want to be traded? That's totally fine with me. I understand. I will trade you. I will trade you to whoever gives me the best fucking package. Like, if the Thunder come and say, we will give you a treasure trove of picks and young players, and Giannis is like, I don't really want to go there. I want to go to Miami. And so you take like Tyler Hero and 2 firsts instead. You should fire the entire fucking franchise into the sun at that point. And like, I will reserve judgment on it until we see what the actual deal for Giannis is, because it is happening before the trade deadline this season.
Yeah.
But like, to announce to the NBA that you're going to Nico Harrison yourself, it's just fucking insane. That you're like, yeah, we're only going to negotiate with whatever team he tells us he wants to go to, is so fucking stupid that it blows my mind. Like, at least give us the illusion that there's a bidding war. Like, if you go to Houston and you're like, hey, congratulations, Giannis says he wants to go there. We would like Amen Thompson, please. If I was Houston, I'd be like, go fuck yourself. You'll take what we give you and you'll like it because we know that you're not trading him anywhere else. So I think, like, you know, in any negotiation, leverage or the perception of leverage is key. And to completely give up the perception of leverage before you've even started negotiating is just like all-time bad GMing. And I feel sorry for Bucks fans, man, because I know how much Giannis means to them. And you're going to watch him go for way, way less than you're expecting. Fire them all into the sun.
I mean, like, it should be an absolute monster haul, right? But when there's only one team that can trade for him, then, like, it would be dumb for them to give up fair value. Just like it's dumb for the Bucks to not try to get the most value they can get out of this.
Yeah.
It's like, don't they even not have their own picks the next couple of years?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing too, is like, if I was Giannis, I would strategically leverage this to get myself into the best situation possible, where I wouldn't even give the Bucks like a list of teams. I would just be like, hey, I want to get traded to the Houston Rockets. And then I would tell the Rockets, like, you are the only team I am accepting a trade to. So don't trade away Thompson. Don't trade away, what's his name? Şengün. Like, keep those guys and offer them less because I'm not accepting anything else. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I would fucking do because I want to try to win a championship if I'm Giannis. And he's well within his right to do that. But if the Bucks, that plan doesn't work if the Bucks are like, yeah, we're going to trade you where we want to trade you. Like if Atlanta offers the best package, you're going to Atlanta. Sorry, dude, you're under contract.
I'm assuming he doesn't have a no trade clause. Looks like he does not. Oh, no trade clause. Yeah. I mean,
the only time we've ever seen it in NBA history was when the Blazers GM was like, fuck you, Dame. You're going where I tell you to go. So that I can get DeAndre Ayton. And like the plan was bad, but the execution was solid for the Blazers. But I'm still waiting for like the GM that's like, well, I don't know, man. I guess Nico Harrison did it to Luka, where he's like, fuck you, you'll do what I tell you to do, and you'll go to the Lakers for nothing.
If I'm a player of that caliber that can actually like ask for one, I'm 100% stipulating, yeah, I need a no trade clause in my contract at this point.
Yeah.
Because that like then you really hold all the cards. Because when you want to be traded, then like they still basically kind of have to. I mean they don't, but like you're still in a really shitty situation if you decide to keep the guy that doesn't want to be there. It blows my mind that we have a GM in this situation where there is no trade clause and you're willing to give away every bit of leverage.
Yeah.
Because when you make this trade and the assets do not fuel a rebuild because they're not going to be enough to do that, you are going to get fired. Which maybe these guys don't care about that because they're still going to get paid anyways. But like, you would think you would like to not have that stink on you so that you could get another contract and make even more money. But
I'm trying to see, do the Bucks have their pick this year? I think the Bucks do have their pick this year. Yeah, Tankathon says they do. So you know what the move here is, Matt?
That would change things.
Well, it's a generational draft.
Trade him away and then, yeah.
No, it's not just trade him away. There's one location you have to trade him to ensure.
Go Mr. Silver.
No, you have to trade him to the LA Lakers for nothing. Because then you get the first pick in the draft and you can take Cameron Boozer.
That's what you do.
Yeah, you have to, Milwaukee. You have to. Adam Silver said so. But yeah, I look at this and I'm like, okay, Giannis doesn't have a no trade clause. He's under contract for the rest of this season and then 2 more. Milwaukee has all the cards. And Milwaukee's like, here you go, Giannis. Here are all of our cards. Go fish. Have fun. We'll send you where you want. Have fun in Houston or Oklahoma City or LA, wherever you decide you want to go. Please pick LA so we can have Cameron Boozer. Fucking stupid. This is the Max Brosmer of GMing is what we're watching right now unfold in front of our eyes. But for now, that is it for us. Just like absolutely lit schedule of football this weekend. The NFL has great games all over the place, starting tomorrow with the Lions versus the Dallas Cowboys in what may very well be an elimination game for the NFL playoffs at this point. Steelers Ravens is fun. I mentioned that we have Joe Burrow versus Josh Allen, Bears Packers, Texans Chiefs is like an elimination game, Eagles Chargers on Monday night. All fantastic. NCAA football, it is championship weekend. So just awesome conference championship games, plus Western Michigan plays in the MAC championship this weekend. Just like a shitload of awesome football Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So, and Monday. So enjoy the weekend. Matt and I'll be back. Same fouled out time, same fouled out place to talk about week 13 and then start looking forward to week 14. Until then, my friend, I will talk to you soon.
Yep. Bye, guys.
All right. Bye, guys. Bye, Mom.
Bye, Robin.